Very good evening. Jai Shri Krishna. Thank you for joining Sai Satcharita Parayan. I hope you had a wonderful day today. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, Om Shri Saraswataya Namaha, Om Shri Guru Dattatreya Namaha, Om Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha, Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Sai Satcharita, the life and teachings of Shirdi Sai Baba. We'll continue from where we stopped yesterday. Chapter 23, Leelas of the Guru and his devotees. My obeisance to Shri Ganesh, to Shri Saraswati and Shri Guru Maharaj, to the family deity, to Shri Sita Ramachandra, my most humble obeisance, I bow in reverence to the most venerable Guru, Shri Sai Nath. We will be beginning with a new story from yesterday where we stopped. We completed the two stories and now we'll be beginning with a new story. Please listen attentively. When these fascinating tales are listened to, the Guru's words will be deeply impressed on the mind, and the feeling of being a doer of good or bad deeds or that of being a non-doer will vanish. The faith in the Guru will grow stronger. The easiest of all easy ways is to remember Sai in your heart. This is the only refuge and the only way to destroy Maya. Great is the fear of this worldly life, a turbulence that arises out of Maya. But by listening to these stories, Maya will be shattered and the highest happiness attained. This is very important. You have to constantly, when I say constantly, for rest of your life, whatever the time you can, every single day, you have to listen to Satsangs. Only when you keep listening, someday it will hit you. When that knowledge dawns on you, and then you will be able to overcome the Maya. Then you will be able to discriminate. Then you will be able to understand what is the truth, what is real versus unreal. This is what it is mentioned in every scripture. You just cannot say, oh, today I'm sitting for Sai Satcharita Parayan. I'm listening this how many hour days this scripture is being read. And after that, oh, now it's over. I don't have anything to do. You can't say that. You have to go read on your own or practice, making a habit and a continuous way of listening to the scriptures, the teachings of the great masters, and then that is when you will someday evolve on realizing the truth of who God is. God realization will happen, or even just attaining the love and devotion to the Guru or the God will happen. That is the only way to overcome the Maya. You can then get out of the clutches of Maya and attain freedom. Otherwise, you will be lost in the bondage of this material worldly existence. Please know this. So make it a practice, make it a habit. It's a very good habit to have, that you dedicate whatever time in your day exclusive for your spiritual sadhana, spiritual practice, listening to the satsangs and, going on your path of spirituality. Once an epidemic of cholera broke out in Shirdi, the villagers were terrified at heart and decided unanimously on having the drums beaten by the public crier to halt all communication with the outsiders. So great was this fear of cholera that the villagers had taken a dread of the disease. They would have nothing to do with any outsiders. While the epidemic lasted, all trade and communication came to a standstill. So long as this epidemic of cholera continued in the village, no one was to kill a goat or allow a cart from outside to cross the village boundary. Everyone was expected to follow the rule strictly. Baba, however, did not approve of this blind faith of the villagers in God. In his opinion, these false notions only went to prove the ignorance of the villagers. So that while on the one hand the villagers laid down rules and regulations, Baba on the other hand would set them at naught. Listen carefully as to how he did it. Okay, while we start this lesson, I want to narrate a very beautiful experience from my own life with the journey with my Krishna Guruji, and how did he break my superstitious belief or believing in such nonsense. Before I met my Guruji, I had this very interesting people that I came across. Somebody was an astrologer. Again, there are few people's astrologer. Literally all were astrologer, but in three different in three different fields. One used to read the palm leaves, one used to focus on the natal charts, and one used to give gemstones. Okay, so they were experts in that field. So what happened was, there was one lady astrologer who I used to go to, and she was very good in reading the natal chart and then prescribing something called pariharams. Pariharams is nothing but like they'll ask you to do certain rituals with certain gods, going to certain temples, and then it is believed that when you do these rituals as per whatever is being prescribed to the T, you will be able to overcome that problem that you have connecting to your all the natal chart, plus all those the gods who are housed in different places, where I think they'll say there is something called Rahu Dasha, Shani Dasha. You have, they call it in Hindi, I don't know what it is. It says Sade Sati, yes. You have a 7.5 years period of Shani going on, something like that. Sorry, I've forgotten all of this. I'm not even interested in it, but just I'm sure many of you must have heard and followed through. So this is what she would suggest, right? Oh, you are having your Jupiter is in ascendant to something, and some the Lord of Venus is in a different house, so now it is changing. They are changing positions, so you have to do this puja, that puja, you name it. Endless was her remedies that she would keep prescribing. Now, what happened is that I was also wearing something called a Birdstone Moonstone, all this nonsensical stuff. They say, oh, if you wear this stone like an emerald or diamond or ruby and something, sapphire, yellow sapphire, if you wear these stones, then you will get success, you will get money, you will get fame. Oh my God, I don't know how people could believe. And I was one of those idiots who had, also fallen prey to such nonsensical stuff in this world. And then the day I met my Guruji, 14th August 2009, the first thing, it was like Lord Shri Krishna himself came in my life. My life transformed that minute. Just that I didn't know, I met the Lord himself. The next thing that happened, 2 days, I met him on 14th August 2009, which is a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I went again. I met my Guruji. He started teaching me Bhagavad Gita. But before that, then he wanted to know what I was wearing. He said, why are you wearing all of this? He asked me this very beautiful question. And then I said, you know what? I was told that if you wear this, this is going to happen. If I wear this, I will get career success. If I wear my diamond, that's my birthstone. So it's going to, keep me healthy, whatever, free from all, whatever. It will avert all calamities or something evil in this world. All that effect. And then my Guruji very simply explained. He asked me, imagine why wouldn't these people, like, why wouldn't some of these great gods or sages don't recommend this? Why don't they wear? So he gave me a small story about Lord Shri Krishna saying, and he read from Bhagavad Gita. He just read how he just picked up. He opened one of the verse. Now I can't remember exactly what verse did he read, but the lesson is this, right? In that, Lord Shri Krishna had mentioned, I do not prescribe any of these. And then my Guruji taught me very beautifully, in a very simple language, and like a child he explained to like a 5-year-old. He said, you have worn all of this to date. Have you had any change in your life? Have you ever gone and asked these people, who is this God? And have you experienced God? So he asked some of the most thought-provoking questions. And I didn't have an answer, to which, to every question that he asked, my answer was no. So why are they recommending all of this? What makes you think that by wearing this, you're going to achieve something? And then it so happened that he also was explaining to me how a lot of people spend so much of money, in doing all those rituals and trying to go to different temples so that you can overcome your problems, and whatever that you want to achieve, you will achieve. And that time it hit me really hard. Just before meeting him, I had I was on an assignment in US and I was in New York, and I just came back. And right after that, there was these questions have been hankering within myself. Why should I do these rituals? And why is that there's no transformation happening in my life? I've not got career success, or neither have I achieved anything. I've not got money, but why should I continuously keep, do these things? But the 6 months period, I returned exactly December 31st of like literally 2009 Jan. And then the 6 months before I met my Guruji, whatever the pariharams this lady would mention, I wanted to challenge the the gods, and see who is this god. I literally challenged her, and I wanted to go to whatever extreme that it takes for me to get my answers. But strange things happened. That 6 month period, every time I went into some temple, literally the flowers or some kind of a message I would get. Literally, that answers were coming. But what is that answer? I never understood. Finally, when I met my Guruji, he opened that. Something happened when he said all of that. It resonated with the questions that I had. And then I realized, oh my God, this is not what it is. So spirituality is very different. And that is when I learned the word spiritual. Not until then I learned the word what spirituality meant. And then he explained to me all of this. You wouldn't believe, just in that blind faith, I removed all my those rings that I was wearing, whatever amulets or whatever that I had. I literally said Krishna Arpan. I literally removed right then and I surrendered it. And since that day, I never went back to meeting any of these people to check on my horoscope, check on what is my future going to look like. What is my beautiful explanation my Guruji gave? He said, look, whether you like it or not, each one of us have been born with a destiny. We have come with our prarabdha karma. You are not going to get anything more or less. Whatever is meant to come to you will anyways come to you. And you have to go through your prarabdha karma. There is no way out of it. But when you have met a real master, and when you surrender, and when you evolve on the path of spirituality, your prarabdha karma is cushioned by your Guruji. He cushions it for you. You are going to fall. If it is destined that you have to fall from the 10th floor of a building, you are going to fall, but the fall is cushioned. You might land on something where you just have a minor fracture and you will go away. This is exactly will happen. But please know that nobody can change your prarabdha karma. Even these people who you believe can change, and believing them, you go into all these temples, wear amulets, you wear I don't know what all nonsensical stuff we end up doing. And then you become like a slave to them. You get into that habit, and then you're constantly going to be looped into that. You're going to get attached with karma, in karmic loop with all of these people. So never go into these things. I am an example. And please, these are all superstitious. This is all false. There is nothing like that. The only thing you need to know is you have come with this body. You have a body. You're born as a human. First, your purpose is to attain your spiritual will. The second is to do your duties. Whatever the duties you have been ordained by the divine, please do it. Work is worship. Please do it with utmost sincerity, with putting 100% of everything to it, and having absolute dedication and devotion to the job. And let me tell you, your life will be beautiful. And most importantly, you have to walk the path of righteousness. So nothing is going to come easy to you. You must work hard. And when you listen to these satsang, these stories, I'm telling you, you will become, your heart will be purified, your mind will be purified. And then the surrender happens to the divine and to the master. When that surrender happens, then things will open up for you. The divine Lord takes care of you. This is what the truth is. This is exactly what my Guruji explained. And I don't know, that just those words hit me so hard, it was the most beautiful moment of my life. I'm ever grateful to my Guruji. Third day, I removed everything that I was wearing and just did Krishna Arpan to it. And after that, never looked back. No matter what difficulties, what calamities, what challenges come in my life, my Guruji's grace and blessing is the firewall that is there. Nothing shall befall me. That is the faith. Nothing shall befall anyone, those who have surrendered and taken refuge unto the lotus feet of this great master. And this is the truth. And you too, do not believe such, do not have any such false beliefs. Don't believe blindly to what people say, saying that you're going to get $1 million or make $1 billion by doing some pujas and all that. Nothing such thing is going to happen. If whatever is due to you by your karma, you will get that. There is no two ways about it. I hope this is clear to you. So Baba, however, did not approve of this blind faith of the villagers in God. In his opinion, these false notions only went to prove the ignorance of the villagers. So that while on the one hand, the villagers laid down rules and regulations, Baba, on the other hand, would set them at naught. Listen carefully as to how he did it. The villagers sincerely obeyed this resolution of the Gram Panchayat. For if anyone violated the rule, even a little, he would be released only on paying a fine. Baba had no fear of the fine. He was forever fearless. The mind having ceased to exist in devotion to God, he was always invincible in the most adverse of circumstances. Once a cart filled with firewood from another village crossed the village boundary, creating a difficult situation. Differences and disagreements arose between the people. The villagers were fully aware that firewood was scarce in the village, but it was equally improper to violate the rule. It made them feel quite dejected. So they turned upon the poor cartman and tried to send the cart back. News reached Baba. At once he arrived on the spot. He went and stood before the cart, seeing which the cartman's courage rose high. The resistance of the villagers broke down and the cart pushed its way, crossing the village boundary. Baba then made him drive the cart from there straight to the door of the Sabha Mandap and empty it inside. Not a word passed out of the mouth of anyone. Be it summer, winter, autumn or spring or monsoon, Baba kept the dhuni burning in the mosque. 24 hours. Strange indeed was Baba's resolve. Like the Agnihotra of an Agnihotri, Baba's sacred dhuni was burning day and night. Only for this dhuni would he buy bundles of fagots, piling them up in a heap against the wall of the mandap. Taking advantage of the weekly market day, Baba would carefully store up the firewood. But even on that, the neighbors would cast their greedy eyes. Rare indeed is he who is slow to see his own advantage. Baba, there is not a fagot for the here, and without firewood, the home fire will not burn today. So would they make false pretenses. Thus, even they would get a share in the wood. Selfish people are, by their very nature, wicked. The Sabha Mandap had no door, which gave them their opportunity. Needy and deceitful both benefited equally. Baba was exceedingly generous. How can his greatness be described? Outwardly, he looked stern, but he was very soft and tender within. This is actually very true. The divine beings do not consider someone greedy or someone, poor. Both are equal to them. Somebody comes with a deceitful want and someone comes really wanting. To them, everybody is a beggar in their doorstep and they're always generous. They're ever compassionate. My Guruji said something very beautiful this morning. He said, you are Krishna's daughter. You're Lord Krishna's daughter. You are his, why would you hold anything? You have to give selflessly. Sacrifice is the word. We are here to wear this body out for the well-being of everyone in this world. We do not think that someone is selfish, someone is good, someone is bad. We do not discriminate between anyone. We have to be nice to everybody. Every single day when he says that, I feel so proud to be the disciple and the devotee of my great master, Lord Krishna Guruji himself. So I'm blessed. I'm very grateful. To me, everything else seems useless. When he said those words, my heart literally melted, tears in my eyes. I'm like, I have to live these words. Let the world be who they are. Let the people be how they want to be. Why should I change? My goodness, the great teachings which my master is imparting to me. We have to live these words. The reason why you are hearing today these beautiful words is so that you can transform. You can be on the path of goodness, righteousness. That is why you're listening these words. So make an effort to practice it. his words literally pierced my heart. And I said, I will do anything for my Guruji. His word is my command. I am but his instrument, his tool in this universe. The entire world should know him, who he is, such a great divine being. And I have to live those words. What use is it if I do not live these words? It is like, it's just entering, what if I don't live those words? It is like going top of this pot which is upside down, and then you're not filling it, it's just flowing outward. So let those words enter your being. So practice it and understand what these divine masters are teaching through these beautiful stories. These are not stories, these are the Leelas, so that they can impart that knowledge and give an experience to the devotees and the disciples and towards the entire creation for their well-being alone. Baba was exceedingly generous. How can his greatness be described? Outwardly, he looked stern, but he was very soft and tender within. Unfathomable is his greatness. Only when speech gives up its conceit and bows at his feet in humility can it have the power to describe it. Absolutely. If I say, I know this, I know that, I is an ego. With ego, you cannot describe, you cannot know. You have to give up that ego and just become, like a clay in his hands. He will then make the words flow from your mouth. That which you have to hear, you will hear. That story that which has to be narrated will come from your mouth. Similar is my case. I am nothing but mere an instrument in the hands of my Krishna Guruji. The words are of his wisdom alone. Keeping in mind all the time that God Almighty fills this whole universe and still remains, he had no enmity towards anyone. God pervades this entire creation, the 10 directions in front and behind. Hence, malignant attitude towards anyone made him very sad. Although absolutely detached within, he himself behaved like a householder for instructing his followers and guiding them on the path of righteousness. And oh, what humility this great Mahatmas had. Listening to its description, you will be simply amazed. Moreover, it will bring out his love for his devotees and the fulfillment of the purpose of his incarnation. Incomparable was his boundless compassion, and he was always fond of taking to himself the smaller or lowlier place. Crores of stories can be related to bear this out. Never did he undertake fast, nor did he practice the arduous Hatha Yoga practices. He had no hankering after food to pamper his palate, but always took food in moderation. This is extremely important. You have to always do everything in moderation. It's just not eating, sleeping, any activity, you have to do everything in moderation. Lord Shri Krishna has very beautifully explained this lesson in Bhagavad Gita, that if anybody who's doing excess, or you sleep excessively, you're eating excessively just because you like something, you want to fill your belly more than your you can even you eat as though your belly is going to burst out. No, just because you like some sweet, you want to have double serving, triple serving. No, it doesn't work like that. You have to eat in moderation. Do everything moderately. You cannot say that, oh, I want to own 10 pairs of something like clothes, or buy too many things just because you want it. It's your greed. No, limit. Everything has to be done moderately. The word is moderation. And it's very beautiful. My Guruji will teach us, like, you have to eat sattvic food and everything in moderation. It's a holistic meal. It means you have everything. Like you eat a basic food like roti, rice, dal, varan. I'm talking about Maharashtrian food. That's our food. But whatever that food you are eating, you have to eat everything in moderation. Don't eat excessively or indulge in doing something in excessive manner. So, watch out. And then don't complain, I've put on weight, then I want to go and exercise, then you want to go for fasting, you want to then not eat. That all those things is not required. To staying healthy, you need to do everything in moderation, and your most important thing is you need to be disciplined. Disciplined is one thing you need to cultivate. It doesn't come overnight. So you have to put extra effort or extraordinary effort to make yourself become disciplined. My Guruji will every single day teach the same thing. And there is a challenge, right? This body, sometimes we just give in to it. And we were unable to do, but you have to drive yourself. If you do not put that extraordinary effort, you're never going to be able to overcome your mind, body, senses, and then become detached, dispassionate, and you have to achieve discrimination. That is where you will have to go. And most important, when you serve the master and do everything that is asking you to do, you will then attain renunciation. Then you will become desireless, which will give you freedom. But that's a long drawn process. But first, let's understand, what does it mean here? What is Baba doing here? In this manner, he sustained life and protected the body only because it is the one means of obtaining knowledge and salvation. But he never identified himself with it. Why would he, who was adorned by an inner peace, need necklace around his neck? Nor did he need to smear on his body sandalwood paste or rudi. Shri Sai was himself the perfect Brahman. This story, in which the one feeling of loving devotion predominates, is very sacred and instructive. Those who listen to it with full attention will find their awareness of the whole of the worldly life slowly disappearing. And as the faith of the listener strengthens, such Sai's rich treasures will open up to them even more. But this gain is not for the wicked and vexatious. Yes. A loving, trusting devotee alone will enjoy it. Now, if the listeners listen with concentration to the story that follows, their hearts will overcome with love, and their eyes will shed tears of joy. Most ingenious were Baba's ways indeed. How wonderful were his plans and their objectives. His staunch devotees knew from their repeated experience the essence of all these. Listening to Sai's story is like drinking sweet nectar. Concentrate your mind on the Guru and with reverence, and listen to the story that follows. This tale is unique feast, which is not to be savored in a hurry. For each and every dish needs to be tasted with relish to enjoy its novelty to the heart's content. But now, enough of the tale of that cart. Far more strange than that is the story of the he-goat, which will amaze the listeners and fill the Guru devotees with joy. Once, a most remarkable incident took place in Shirdi. Somebody brought a he-goat who was on the verge of death and had grown extremely feeble. People at once gathered round to see him. Mother Sai always looked after him, who had no master, no protector. All the afflicted, the suffering, the rejected found refuge in the mosque. Baba was there, near at hand at the time. So Baba said to him, offer him in sacrifice, kill him with just one stroke. Great was the importance that this Bade Baba enjoyed. His place was always at Baba's right hand side. Baba would smoke a chillim only after Bade Baba had first smoked it. And so far as Sai Baba was concerned, not a leaf would flutter without Bade Baba. Unless Bade Baba had eaten, Baba would not take his food. Once it so happened that on the festive occasion of Diwali, the festival of lights, when all the sweets etc. were served on the plates and the diners had taken their respective places, Bade Baba just walked away in a huff, offended. Unless Bade Baba was present, Sai Baba would not touch his food, and when Sai Baba himself did not touch it, how would the others do? And so everybody sat there waiting. They searched for Bade Baba and brought him back. Only when he thus joined them, Baba ate. And now, leaving the present narrative aside, I am tempted to give some information to the listeners about this as a digression. Bade Baba was Baba's guest, and at meal times he would sit waiting in the Sabhamandap below, straining his ears for Baba to call him. 2 rows of diners would sit on either side with Baba seated in the middle. Bade Baba's place was reserved on Baba's left hand. When all the food offerings were served on the plates were placed in 2 rows. As the meal time approached and the diners took their respective places, Baba himself called out very respectfully in a loud voice. And as soon as he called out, Bade Miyan, Bade Baba would quickly come up the steps making obeisance. What respect did he deserve, who turned away from food in a huff and for no reason at all? Why so much honor to him, who thus insulted food? But even this was just a way of instructing people by first practicing it himself. He thus demonstrated how improper it was to take food without calling your guest to participate. This rule for the householders laid down by the Shastras to avert future calamities was never violated by Baba. He himself followed it scrupulously. By thus honoring the guest, all the desires are fulfilled. By so doing, all that is evil is warded off. But if it is neglected, harm is sure to follow. Hence the venerable always offer puja to their guest. In our Sanatan Dharma, our culture teaches us, our culture and tradition, that Atiti Daivo Bhava, which means guests are God. So you need to first treat a guest as if he's God Almighty, and then you have to offer whatever the food that you have cooked. You have to first offer to your guests and only then partake of it. Baba here is teaching people how it is important to live our culture, tradition, and whatever that we have um, learned from our scriptures, and it is important to follow. You just cannot say, oh yeah, we'll do, you offer the food and then you start eating even before your guest has partaken it. So that's a very important culture of us. I see that it's very sad that today we don't have such culture, or anymore we practice any of this. So it is important that you at least practice and teach your children so that they can carry forward our values, our morals, our culture and tradition. It is very important to live these cultures. Rather, it's more than a culture. It is, it is mentioned, it is prescribed as a duties in our shastras. How do we live a righteous life? What is it to be, going on the path of dharma itself? When the guest remains without food, it portends the loss of animals, sons, wealth, stocks of food, grains, etc. Thus, a guest remaining on an empty stomach is an invitation to trouble. Every day, Sai Baba used to give rupees 50 to Bade Baba by way of dakshina, and would himself walk 100 steps with him to see him off. And this was the Bade Baba, from whose lips quickly came the excuse when he was first asked to kill the he-goat, but how to kill him without any reason. I'll narrate a very interesting story, especially on the food, right? How do you honor the guest? That's a very important thing. And this is from my own Guruji's life that has happened and what he does. He once went to attend someone's marriage. He went for a wedding, who was very close to him, one of his disciples' wedding. And in that wedding, what had happened was, obviously, look, my Guruji looks very ordinary, right? He looks like a commoner. He wears his simple jeans pant t-shirt. People don't understand how great divine master he is. So he and another disciple, they both went for this wedding, and he was seated there, and he was attended to. Everybody, obviously, in the wedding, they are very busy serving everyone else and honoring all of them. So my Guruji does this. Not just my Guruji, but all great masters always test their disciples. And it is a way to test to see where they stand, or whether they are following some of these teachings or not. And because it was so crowded and everything, and he just said, right at just before the lunchtime, he said, I'm leaving, I have to go, I have some important work. And then this poor disciple obviously didn't understand that it is a test. And he just said, can you please have lunch and go? So my Guruji said, no, I don't have time. I can't stay for lunch. And then he's like, I want to go. We're very sad that what he didn't understand is he has to insist. You have to hold, you have to make the Guruji to come and have the food. You have to insist. That is how our culture, that is what is taught in our culture. You do not let the guests go without eating the food. So he just let it be, and my Guruji left. And then when I got to know, I was living in Singapore at that time. And when I learned about it, I realized, oh my God, this is a huge sin that has been committed. Because you need to understand, when the master, when you let somebody, especially the gurus, the great master, go without partaking of the food, you are, the entire gods and goddesses are not getting the sacrifice. And it's just not you're dishonoring the great master, but the entire plethora of gods and goddesses, and the entire universe is against you. You have incurred a huge karma. You don't know the repercussion of what that means. It's going to happen. And then I was so worried. I was upset. I called his disciple and I said, what the hell have you done? How can you let go someone, the great master, the guru? You can let go of even a common man. We are talking about even a common human being. You cannot send them without offering food. But how can you let go of the divine master? So when I said these things, they still didn't understand the repercussions. But they called my Guruji and they said sorry. But you know what did my Guruji do? He's very sweet. And finally, he went to the couple's place and he accepted that offering. And he made this couple invite him home for lunch, and then he had lunch so that any calamity further, or them getting into any kind of a sin, could be averted. Such is the greatness of my master. So please remember, never let any great divine beings, when they visit you, go without eating. You have to offer them something. You cannot, let them go even without drinking a little bit of water at least. Even if they say, I can't eat for whatever reason, at least offer them that little bit. Something you have to offer. Or, hand over something. Give them a fruit, give them something that they can go and eat later. But you cannot send them empty stomach. Please know this. This is a very important lesson. And this has happened a few times with few people. And my Guruji has walked out of that place not partaking of the food because they did not give him the due respect, or they did not honor him by serving him. It's a very important thing. And it has there has been in my own experience as well. There was one time I remember that my Guruji was invited, and then we were to serve him food, and when you miss the timing as well, he gets quite angry. You also have to keep up the timing. It is not just serving the food, but serving food in time. My Guruji has a very beautiful habit. It's not a habit, that's his discipline rather. 6:40 has to be his breakfast time. 1 o'clock sharp on dot, lunch has to be served. Unless and until there is some emergency or some important reason because of which you cannot serve food at that particular time, then you can seek his permission. But he has this timing which he maintains it to date. I've never seen him once missing the time, except for if we are a little bit indisciplined or something happens, then that is when the food gets served a little late. But 1 p.m. means 1 p.m. sharp on dot. The food has to be on the table. This is how my Guruji works, and it is so beautiful. And I must say this, something that you all have to learn. And when you practice this discipline, even in your own life, you will become healthy. You will evolve, becoming sattvic in life, which is evolving towards the path of goodness alone. Every day Sai Baba used to give rupees 50 to Bade Baba by way of Dakshina, and would himself walk 100 steps with him to see him off. And this was the Bade Baba, from whose lips quickly came the excuse when he was first asked to kill the he-goat, but how to kill him without any reason. Madhura was also present there. So Baba commanded him, Shama, at least you go now and get a knife to kill this goat. Go quickly. A fearless devotee that Madhura was, he went to Radha Krishna Bai and brought a knife, which he then placed before Baba. Although bringing that knife was for Madhura a very painful effort, Baba would not have liked to see him come back without it. Meanwhile, news reached Radha Krishna's ears, and moved by compassion, she at once called back for the knife. Once again, Madhura set out to fetch another knife, but then he stayed away this time, sitting in the vada, lest the killing took place at his hands. To test Kaka's mind, Baba then commanded him, Go, you get a knife to cut that goat. Do relieve him of his suffering and pain. Full well Baba know that Kaka was a pure, tested gold, but people would never be satisfied unless he was tested in the burning furnace. Oh my God, this is so beautifully put. Okay, this is the very important lesson here, what is being said. No matter how pure you are going to be tested constantly. And if you don't get tested, you cannot evolve. You cannot become better and better and better. See, if you need to get purified, you are that gold. And if that gold is not put into the fire, how will all the impurities be removed? So similar is this path of spirituality. For you to evolve, become purer by the day, You have to go through these tests. My Guruji once told me, look, I'm not going to make it easy in your life. You are going to face these things. You have to walk that path, but please know that I'm holding your hand and walking you along with me. I'm taking you that path. There are going to be obstacles. There are going to be challenges. I'm going to put all that in front of you. But I want to see how you will, face them, how you will overcome them. So very sweetly, every single day he'll teach me. He'll say it in different ways. Every single day that knowledge just goes in. Listening to him for 12 plus years, it still feels, oh God, I'm nowhere. It's I'm nobody to judge, but it's a way of saying, oh God, I have a long way to go. That's how you feel, because that is how the spirituality is. Because the world of spiritual is athanga sagar. It's a limitless ocean. How depth and how deep and how vast it is, you cannot measure it. And so as you keep going deeper and deeper, you will continue going deeper, but you cannot touch the bottom. That is what spirituality is all about. It is very sweet, it's very beautiful, but the lessons are going to be extremely tougher. As you grow higher, the lessons become tougher and tougher and tougher. But know that the Guru is holding your hands and is walking you through that. So there's nothing, no calamity can befall, but here it's beautifully mentioned. With every step, once you cross over one step, then comes the next. I'll tell you a very beautiful story about my own self. When I started on that journey, my first 10th sense, when my master blessed me with that 10th sense of knowledge. It was my first year in Singapore. Actually, it was 1 year with him as well, 2010. And in July, 2010 July, he had visited Singapore. That's the first time, rather second time he came to Singapore after I had shifted. And then I was living with one of my family friends, and my Guruji came to stay with us. It was the most toughest period, I would say, at that moment on my path of spirituality. I literally was on the verge of like, I don't need this spiritual. I don't like him. What is he talking about? What is he putting me through? I don't like my life right now. I don't like what's going on with me, what's happening. I never imagined what happens when you evolve on the path. And then I wanted to, learn. I don't know how I'm going to learn. I was very angry with him. And one day in that anger, I said, I don't want Krishna in my life. I just don't want. I woke up, I went to a movie theater. I watched back-to-back 2 movies. It was amazing. I've actually written about this experience. It is very much there on my blog on Krishna Knows. You can go read it about this experience. So I went and watched this movie back-to-back. And no matter what I ended up watching, and the first movie I watched was Letters to Juliet. It was a very beautiful movie. It's a romantic story. It's a very beautiful love story. And I could only see him. It is weird. I'm only experiencing, the love of Lord Krishna, the love of my Guruji, and literally felt like he was sitting right next to me and I'm watching this movie with him. It was strange. The more I wanted to forget and I don't want to remember him, all the more it became very stronger. I could only experience his presence around me. And very strangely, it was so funny. And after that movie, I ended up going to a shopping mall, and then I just was walking around and I saw some clothes. So I just went there and I was picking some dresses for myself. Suddenly from nowhere, an old lady comes, and then she says, she's just waiting there outside my, trial room. And then when I came out, she said, that dress looks very nice on you. You should buy that. I just assumed that she was just there and she's doing some shopping. But I went and tried every single dress, and then she would wait there and say, no, this is beautiful, this is beautiful. And I was like, okay. So I said, okay, fine. And then when I was about to make payment, get the billing done, she said that, look, she has some vouchers and she wants to use it up, and I could withdraw the cash and give it to her. So then I said, okay, fine, I'll do that. And after that, I used her voucher. Then I was walking to an ATM, a nearby ATM. And during that, she has having a very interesting conversation. And in all of that, I somehow felt, this is not the woman. It seems like I'm talking to my Lord Krishna. It's like I can see an essence of my Guruji in her. Can you believe that? It is so cute. And then I withdraw the money, and then I was in the I was in the MRT station and I was waiting for her train. She was pretty old. She must be 70 plus. And then she had a very twinkling eyes, something that was exuding so much of love. And it felt like she's caring for me because I was upset. So the God can manifest in any form. It is that you need that grace to see. I could literally see my Guruji in her. My Lord Krishna was in her through her form. He was taking care of me, telling me how beautiful I was, choosing my dress and he was there throughout the day. The more I wanted him to be out, the more stronger he became in my life. And then I realized, oh my God, this is the greatness of my master, the divine almighty Lord. And then I made peace with myself. I overcame my mind. It was my mind which is angry. I crushed that ego. I literally called my Guruji and I cried to him. That's the most beautiful thing. And then when he arrived in Singapore, yes, there were a lot of tough moments. And I still remember he was doing this very beautiful a beautiful scripture of his master, his Gurudev, Lord Dattatreya, Avadut Gita. And I didn't understand a word, but he was just, every day he would sit and read that beautiful scripture with me and teach me what it means. I felt it's a dry subject, but something I took from it. I don't know what I took, but something went in. That little knowledge, whatever that you have to get, is all you will get. And then after that, I was going with him to Ramakrishna mission. There was this Ramakrishna mission in Singapore. We were going there. We were in the train. And you know what? And right when we were going, when he sat in the train, I could see there was nothing out there. But after I sitting there and after some time, I saw at his feet, I found a 10 cents coin, that 10 cents of knowledge. That was my first blessing, that you have crossed a milestone. And now you're ready for that knowledge. That knowledge dawned on me. That is how it is. And from then on, you wouldn't believe, every time I've crossed over to another, I've crossed over that test and I moved, I've grown up, I've passed that test. I would always find some money somewhere. I've collected a whole pouch. I'm going to write about this. You should read about it. I have a whole pouch, a big pouch of coins from all over the globe, and some notes too, the currency as well. In all kinds of currencies I have. That's the greatness of this divine master, how beautifully they work. So have that faith and evolve on that path of spirituality. It is very beautiful. It is it's more worthy than your material worldly existence. The amount of effort you try to put in your running that rat race, put that 10% of that effort in spiritual, you will attain something. You will attain the ultimate destination of your existence of having this human birth. Let me tell you that much. Sorry for keeping this too long, but I thought it will make some sense to you. What does spirituality means? How does the masters work? You cannot even fathom. It is incomprehensible. So here, even a diamond has to bear the blows of a hammer before it acquires its own luster. For not without paying the price of suffering the hammer blows shall the glory of a godhead be attained easily. Absolutely true. With every chip, my master makes me become lustrous, makes me shine brighter than the other day. Every chip is hurtful, it's very painful, but it is sweet. That's why Lord Shri Krishna has said, what the process, the path and everything, what feels very painful in the beginning, that same suffering is nectar sweet at the end. So go through that is a sweet suffering. That's how I put it across. True, Kaka was a precious as talisman round the neck, but how were others to be convinced? Even a diamond is tied with a thread and tested in the fire by the connoisseur of gems to determine its worth. Likewise, my Guruji will always say, you have to go through that test. You need to become that pure. Everybody has to go through this. Nobody is spared. So for the diamond to become that priceless and precious and priceless, and become that one unique, the gem which the kaustubh which Lord Shri Krishna adorns on his neck, and it rests on his chest. To be that precious stone, to be that gem, you have to go through this. That is when you will be adorned by the divine himself. Never will the resolves be fulfilled if of one who doubts the words of a saint. They will at best be only an unsubstantial, fruitless babble of words, and will bring him no spiritual progress, even in the least degree. But he who reveres the deeply significant words of a guru will succeed in securing his worldly advantage as also his spiritual advancement. But he who finds fault and malice there will only ensure his own fall. I hope you understand this. Ever ready to serve the Guru, he bows before only the Guru's command, leaving all consideration of the propriety or impropriety of the act on the Guru's head. Yes, you only have to follow the Guru's command. When he says go jump, you just have to jump. Don't worry whether it is right and wrong. It is not for you to decide what is right and what is wrong. Your Guruji knows it. He's telling you to go do the job. There is a reason why he's giving you. And why are you doubting? Actually, again, this reminds me to one other very interesting experience which my Guruji had given. I had this belief, having been in the material world and followed too much rituals, we used to believe, oh, today is Saturday, we don't eat non-veg, today is Thursday, we don't do this. Oh, mom, today is that Lakshmi Puja, we don't do this, I don't eat non-veg on this day, there is this month, whatever, this Balaji's month, 1 month, people call it Portasi month, in Tamil, and they say, oh, this month of Vishnu, we don't eat this. So many different things. It was all the belief of mind. And then I would say it's Purnami, it's Amavasya, it is I don't know, too many things earlier, Ekadashi, you name it, Ganesh Chaturthi, endless were these that the I had this beliefs because of the place where I grew up and people that I was influenced around, and then one day my Guruji, I still remember it was Diwali of, it was the year 2011. It was Diwali time and it was on the Lakshmi Pujan day. And that time I was telling, oh, today is this, I forgot what we call it. We call it something like Nom, it at home. It's a Tamil word. Again, I don't know what that means. We have to do this. And then he broke my myth. He's like, okay, let's go. We'll have lunch outside. I finished the puja and everything and I went with him just to break my superstitious belief. And he said, let's go for lunch. And we went for lunch. And then he said, okay, what do you want to eat? Order anything that you want. I'm like, oh, it's a vegetarian. We have to eat vegetarian. I said, oh, why order non-veg? Why is this belief of vegetarian, non-veg? Why shouldn't you eat non-vegetarian? He said, yeah, order non-veg, order chicken. I'm like, what? I've never in my life ever eaten on this day non-veg. So to break that barriers in my mind, to break the superstitious belief, he made me order. I ate that day, and then I said, nothing happened. So he said, it's all in your mind. It's who has told you this. It's a day which you think it is. But that is only, he made me do that only to break that false belief and false notions which I had been following baselessly without understanding the real importance or significance. But that was the only time. But after that, now we follow everything in a very beautiful manner. Actually, we don't even eat non-veg unless and until it's very rare. It's a rarity. But we only eat vegetarian food, sattvic food, and especially during the 5 days of puja, we follow a proper ritual. So he did that only to bring me out of that stupid beliefs that I had followed for so many years without having an understanding. Why am I doing what am I doing? Why it is being said? But after that, when I got that real knowledge, then I applied that knowledge in a systematic manner. So then we follow everything in the manner which is mentioned in the scriptures. So today, whatever is done at Krishna Ashram is as per the scriptures. We follow the scriptures to the T. We live the way of life as defined by Lord Shri Krishna himself. Every puja, every offering is exactly to what is mentioned in our scriptures. So this is what we do. We do not go by what people created, what have people prescribed it. That is not what we follow. We don't even follow the framework which is mentioned in Vedas and Shastras, but we follow what is mentioned as per the scriptures, which is what Lord Shri Krishna has defined. So all the rituals that is mentioned, it is for a very normal human being. But spirituality is completely a different ballgame altogether. And that has to be only followed under the guidance of your true spiritual master and not anybody else. So, He is a slave to the Guru's command and has no independent judgment of his own. Always eager to obey the Guru's words, he will not consider the good or bad of it, absolutely. So at that moment in time, it was faith in my Guru. I didn't consider good or bad. I just obeyed. My Guruji wanted to see whether I use my mind or just follow what he's asking me to do, the faith. And beautiful it was. Even if a brief moment were to elapse between the Guru's utterance of a command and his execution of it, the little delay too is unbearable to him. Most extraordinary is this acting on the command of the Guru. Okay, oh my God. I think we can do satsangs on this verse for rest of my life too. Obeying your Guru's command, oh my God, that's a very, very, very important thing. We human beings and our mind, the first thing it wants to do is disobey the Guru's command. It doesn't want to listen. And then what? We will procrastinate of doing that particular task. If your Guruji says, go see the time downstairs, you know what three people do? One will say, oh, there's a time, I have a watch. It is 12 o'clock. And then somebody look at the clock. Oh, it is, Guruji, the clock is right above your head. What are you telling me to go down and see? And then they'll say time from there. But there is one student who will go downstairs. He'll see the time and come. There is a reason why your Guruji is saying a specific words. Go downstairs and check the time and come. His instructions are very clear. It's important that you follow that. This is a live example from my own Guruji's life. And I know many a time the mind comes. I've been party to it as well. He'll say, do this, I'll exactly do opposite of, I have done opposite of it, not right now. So obeying the command of your Guru is extremely important. See, we don't understand, we let our mind come. It's very easy for your mind to come, but it is very difficult to keep your mind in check and always obey your Guru's command. So no matter how high you evolve on the path of spirituality, your mind can come like that. The ego can raise its ugly head when you least expect it. So always be careful, be vigilant, and have that awareness of your mind. Don't let your mind come in the way of your master's command, and just obey it. Go blindly follow it. You will see miracles happening. You will see how beautifully you will progress. Your surrender will happen. You'll become the clay in your Guru's hands. That is who you have to become. So you have to break the barriers that your mind keeps putting, and you have to break your mind itself. Mind is only there so that it can guide you to reaching God, not otherwise. And beyond a point, you have to chuck everything and then transcend beyond your mind, body, senses, the three gunas, and then go beyond the Maya to attain the lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna. Even the knowledge that you've learned, to cut asunder the ignorance, you have to chuck that knowledge as well. And only through love and devotion can you attain the Lord Shri Krishna. There is no other way. So, coming back. Dikshit was pure, unalloyed essence of goodness, in courage and determination, a Mahameru, whom the doubt as to how to kill the living goat did not even touch. That an innocent he-goat will die, his soul will be in an agony of pain, that his own pure, good reputation will be tainted, as he will be committing a great sin thereby. Such a thought never crossed his mind at all. Disobeying the command was to him the greatest sin, and obeying it at once and in every possible way was the greatest merit. Very rare are such disciple and devotees to find in today's day and age. He to whom the Guru's command was the only standard of truth was strangely excited and tremulous, as his naturally tender heart was thus indeed to take the goat's life. Then he went to Satewada and brought the weapon as per Baba's command. He got himself all ready to kill that he-goat without any faltering. Total obedience to the Guru's command inspired great courage. He took up the weapon and steeled his heart. Born in a Brahmin family, pure and sacred, with a vow of non-violence observed since the day he was born. And oh, what a situation for such a one to be in. How will his hand be raised for such a deed? Undaunted where obedience to the Guru's command is concerned, he made up his mind once for all, and yet the heart pounded furiously within. Perspiration flowed profusely. He had never known a harsh word in speech, thought, or action, and that he should have to strike with a weapon. It was truly an occurrence of rare misfortune. Those who disregard the Guru's word are most certainly destined to lose all the merit accumulated over the past births. Absolute obedience of the Guru's command is the most precious among all ornaments. It is the one sure mark of a good disciple, whereas violation of that command is the greatest of all sins. So please, when your Guruji says do something, please obey it and never procrastinate. I have been myself, um, you know, faced many wrath when I have not obeyed my Guruji's command, when I've let my mind come in my way. But this is how we learn, okay? So know that you're going to fall, you're going to make mistakes, but you will have to evolve and walk that path. Your Guruji is there always to protect you, but please know that. Don't put him in more trouble. The moment you do not obey him, you're incurring sins. He cannot keep taking your sins and suffering for it. Every single time when we disobey our master, we are committing too many sins. We don't understand this profound truth. We cannot see beyond our nose. But Baba is mentioning here. It is very simply put in one verse. This one verse itself, when expanded, gone depth, you cannot even fathom the suffering and the sin that we commit and how much we cause pain to our masters. So please don't do that. It's a humble request. Obey your Guru's command. My Guruji will say, when his master says something, or he'll say do this, no, he'll say sar aakhon pe. So you have to obey it. You have to do that way. His word is your command, and you just have to go and do it. That, oh, my Gurudev's word is the ultimate thing, I just have to do it. That should be your devotion. That has to be your faith in your Guruji. So develop that faith. And here it is talking about one disciple who has such deep devotion and faith in Sai Baba. So there is no heed to look for an auspicious moment here. Sorry, I missed a verse. Let me do that again. Guru's command should be obeyed without a moment's delay, and he who doubts and hesitates is truly a wretched one. In fact, he is a beast without a tail in the form of a man. There is no need to look for an auspicious moment here. No question of good and bad, of instant or deferred action. He who obeys is wise and discerning. He who delays is unfortunate. Tucking in the end of his dhoti with one hand and gathering up the weapon with the other, he rolled up his sleeves as he approached the spot where the goat was. The villagers were quite astonished. What is this extraordinary deed? Where has the tenderness of Kaka's heart disappeared? I'm going to finish this story and then stop. So give me 5 more minutes. I know we are already at the end of the hour. I don't want to stop the story in halfway. A Muslim and a non-vegetarian like Fakir Baba. But whereas even he would not lift a weapon on a poor, tormented goat, Kaka here is all ready to do it. Those who are extraordinary among men, they are harder than a Vajra, thunderbolt, but softer than a flower at heart. Then clutching the knife tightly in hand, which was raised high to strike, he said, "So Baba, must I now strike him? Tell me just once." The weapon that is meant for the protection of the meek and afflicted, is it also to be used to kill an innocent goat? But on the other hand, he was sold heart and soul to the service of the Guru, hence this little hesitation. And yet, as he was trying to get the killing over as quickly as possible, suddenly his heart was moved to pity. The hand holding the knife faltered, came back, and would not move forward again. Kill it now. What are you waiting for? As this final and ultimate order came, Kaka turned a half circle in a bid to strike hard. He lifted his hand, holding the knife for the goat. The fatal moment had arrived, but God, his protector, rushed to his rescue in the nick of the time. Certain that Dikshit would now strike, Mother Sai thought that if he waited a moment longer, it would be a disaster, and said quickly, "Oh, but let it be." So sweet. This is how the Gurus are. How beautiful. They bring the test and then say, and then they'll make it things so easy for you. It's just that you think, oh, something bad is going to happen. No, their tests are so beautiful. Let it be. No, Kaka, turn back. Oh, how heartless you are. A Brahmin and still you want to kill. Is there no consideration in your heart? No sooner he heard this, Kaka at once dropped the knife. Old and young were all astonished. The goat had received a gift of life, and Guru devotion had reached its culmination. that all these things is happening only to see how much devotion you have. So that is the essence of this whole story is to understand how much faith and devotion that you have for your master, that you obey his command to the T. You're not going to procrastinate. You're not going to say, I'm not going to do. The mind can come very strong, but here it's an example of how beautiful Kaka was. His devotion was the ultimate. No matter he was a Brahmin, he was ready to kill the goat only at just the command of his guru. Such has to be your devotion. So obey your master's words to the T. Make your guru's words and command as the ornament of your life, and let it always adorn you. There's no other ornament you need to have. Obey his words. When he says do something, just do it right then. Do not procrastinate. And you don't know, when you procrastinate, you are letting the destiny take over, and then you don't know what all can befall you. So please know this. Take this lesson make it as a lesson that can always remain in your heart, and you chant on it, because this is what you need to follow as part of your journey on the path of spirituality. So listen carefully now to what Kaka then said. As he dropped the knife, Baba, your nectar-like words are as Dharma Shastra to us. We do not know any dharma other than that, and we are not ashamed or disgraced. Obedience to the Guru's words is of the very essence. It is to us the Veda Shastra. How beautiful. This is the highest form of having that Guru devotion. I hope you understood. So we'll stop here and we'll continue tomorrow at the same time from verse 172. Thank you for joining the Sai Satcharita Parayan. I hope you enjoyed today's lessons. I think it was a very, very important lesson. Thank you once again. Om Shri Mahaganapate Namaha. Om Shri Gurudev Datta. Om Shri Sachidananda Sadguru Sainath Maharaj Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Digambara Digambara Shripad Vallabha Digambara. Om Shri Krishna Gurunath Natha Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Devi Durgaya Namaha. Om Shri Krishna Arpanam Namastu. Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum.